biological man ought to be able to play in a biological female sport?
Well, the short answer is yes. Somebody who is trans,
Okay, that's all.
Someone who is trans, but understand, Mr. Norman, the idea that people would do this in order to take advantage of biological advantages, I think is just not correct. It's not true. And if you were to see some trans girls or some trans girls participate in sports, I think for the most part you would see that they're girls, pretty much girls.
Biological male has just become the first transgender person to win a world title in cycling.
First transgender weightlifter winning her maiden international event as a woman.
A biological male winning a gold medal in a women's event now seems a matter of when, not if.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into First Reaction TV. My name is J Mart. So we have a good show for you today. Piers Morgan has been on fire lately, and I just did a video of him recently where he was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and he crushed Katie Porter. He just absolutely silenced her with the, trans athletes in sports debate, and he made her look foolish. He was standing up for women's rights. He was standing up for women everywhere. He was standing up for Riley Gaines, and he was met with just backlash from this absolute condescending leftist extremist. So we're going to play a little bit from that show again, and then we have another person that came on Piers Morgan's show, and these people just make these arguments in bad faith. Like, that's the worst part about some of these talks whenever you actually have a conversation about this topic. It's bad faith, and you can see it in their face, and you can hear it in their voice and hear it in their arguments. Like, they're not even trying to make the conversation or the argument seriously because they already know they're wrong. And Piers makes this girl look as stupid as she sounds. Like, it's great. Like, it's absolutely brilliant. And the worst part is she didn't even realize she got caught up. Like, it was that bad. Like, she had no clue how bad she actually messed up. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please make sure you subscribe. We're really close to 1,000 subscribers, so it means a lot. Please hit that like button, comment, and I appreciate you watching. So this is when Piers Morgan was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and he was having a conversation with Katie Porter. And Katie Porter goes right into identity politics. Poor me, we're all victims, blame the right, it's a culture war. It's not about facts, it's not about substance of the argument, it's not about women's rights. According to her, it's about a right-wing culture war.
Dylan Mulvaney is free to express herself and to live her gender identity. There's no one right way to be a woman or to drink Bud Light, for that matter, or apparently even to shoot at it. I think the issue that this all gets tangled up in, that it's really important to put on the table, is while the right is waging these kinds of culture attacks, culture wars, trans people are being murdered.
So I just recently did a video about this whole show with Bill Maher, Porter, and Piers. But I wanted to just play this part again because in the new video, it's the same argument. It's like a copy and paste routine. It is blame white people. It's Christians' faults. It's the right is waging culture wars, and trans people are victims, and they're being attacked and murdered on a daily basis, and it's just an epidemic. It's the same thing over and over and over again. No matter which argument you hear from these extreme leftists, it's just the same thing, and there's never any substance behind it. After that, Porter goes on to attack Riley Gaines and say that Riley Gaines is out there to get clicks and likes. And she's not standing up for women. That's not what Riley Gaines is doing. She's not trying to protect women, stand up for women's rights in sports. It's just Riley Gaines being selfish, trying to get attention, apparently, is what Katie Porter says. Piers fires back, and it is epic, so we're going to play it again, and then we're going to get into the new video.
Using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
That's not what she's doing.
It's not?
I've got no truck for riding against personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality.
Well,
She actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right. It cannot be fair.
That is something.
I think she's speaking up for pretty much every female athlete in the world.
I mean, wasn't that the point of Title IX?
I honestly can't watch that enough times. I mean, Piers Morgan is in Bill Maher's show in Los Angeles, California, where it's an entire liberal crowd. There are no right-wing extremists in that crowd. Bill Maher does not host right-wing extremists or Donald Trump fans. That's not what that crowd is clapping and cheering for Piers Morgan. That is a liberal, democratic crowd of just everyday Americans saying they're fed up, man, and people are afraid to say it. Like, that's it. People are afraid to speak up. So let's get into Piers Morgan's show and see what his guest has to say.
Well, good evening from London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Advertising is supposed to shove products down our throats. We all know that. At their best, adverts make us smile, laugh, even cry. They make us associate brands with feelings so that we'll buy them. That's the deal. That's how it's been for generations. But there's a new movement in advertising. They're no longer shoving their products down our throats, just their identity politics. And the only feeling they're inspiring is extreme irritation. Well, Bud Light's the most popular beer in America, and for reasons which are not entirely clear to anybody at the moment, they recently teamed up with Dylan Mulvaney. She was someone who identified until very recently as a gay man, then non-binary, and now apparently is a woman, and is an influencer who makes kitsch videos about womanhood and being a girl from the vantage point of, to be honest, a biological man. Many women were rightly outraged when Nike used the very same trans influencer to advertise sports bras, even though Dylan Mulvaney has no breasts. The common theme is a business promoting a worldview that's kind of irrelevant and unfamiliar to most of the people currently buying their product. The most famous example of this was Gillette, the men's shaving company, which used to advertise like this.
Contour Plus with lubricating strip. The best a man can get.
Oh, I made you proud to be a man, and that was the problem, unfortunately. Can't be proud to be a man anymore. Can't be proud to be masculine. No. Nothing laudable about a man who works hard, makes money, has a beautiful wife, raises great kids, and wins. No. Gillette thought there was a massive problem with this. So they launched, in the light of Me Too, a man-shaming attack ad instead. Take a look at this.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long.
And suddenly I had to feel ashamed. I had to feel like I was a monster unless I could prove otherwise. Why would Gillette do that? Why would it make their millions of male customers be ashamed to be a man? Well, the reaction, as I predicted in the column the next day, was a disaster. I think it cost them $9 billion over the next 6 months before eventually they just did a reverse ferret and went straight back to the old style advertising because men actually wanted to feel good about being a man. And that is still allowed.
I just wanted to stop it there real quick because this is actually a very important topic and it doesn't get talked about much, and when it does, people actually make fun of it. It's, oh yeah, men don't have problems, men don't have issues, men have privileges, especially white men. White men have all the privileges in the world. What could be going on or wrong with them? We live in a society right now where literally if you're masculine in any type of way, you're pretty much attacked, talked down to, you're told, it's everywhere in our society right now. It's being promoted to I guess the weaker you are, the better you are. The more vulnerable you are, the better you are. The more of a victim you are, the better you are. The more oppressed you are, the better you are. I mean, it's just an absolute propaganda, you know, shit show right now for men. And men don't have a lot of good role models to look up to right now. Like, they just don't. And men suffer in a ton of different categories, whether it's suicide rates, whether it's crime, whether it's school. Men are suffering all over this country, a lot of them. And it's okay to be a strong man. It just is. It's actually just not okay to be a strong man. It's great if you're a strong man. It's great if you want to be a strong man. Strive for that. Set goals. Be a great man.
Well, joining me now is political journalist Ava Santina and host and author Leah Halpern. Well, welcome to both of you. Leah, let me start with you. I can almost predict the way these things are going to go from the moment I see these ads. The moment the advertising companies, who are staffed by a lot of woke people, decide to go woke, they invariably end up nearly going broke.
That's exactly correct. And I just want to backtrack just a little minute, because you did refer to Dylan as a she, and let's just be clear and live in reality for a second. Dylan is a man. And just like you mentioned with Gillette, yes, if you do go woke, then yes, you will go broke. They lost $6 billion in their stock price. And so it's very clear there's just not an appetite for it. These major companies are so stupid, and it really surprises me how they think there is such an appetite for it. There clearly isn't. They don't know their audience. And it's just embarrassing that the way that they had to flip so quickly and create this patriotic advert. To me, it shows they're disingenuous. And it's also really important to remember that they don't care. They don't really care about these social justice issues. They're just doing it to make money. They're still capitalists at the end of the day, just like all the other companies that do it. They really don't care.
And I find with this, I didn't really care about the Bud Light one. I thought it was a stupid thing to do because it clearly backfired exactly how I could have predicted. The Nike one, I think, is more problematic.
Why?
Because you as a woman, how comfortable do you feel about someone who, until last year, was a gay man of 25, suddenly, without any surgery, starts doing TikTok videos saying, I'm now into womanhood and I'm a girl on a journey to being a girl, and then does a Nike ad for sports bras for women, despite not having any breasts, and more importantly, mocks the way women do sport if you look at it as a misogynist.
That's ridiculous.
It's not.
That is ridiculous. She's not mocking the way that we do sport. And also, can I just say that was really rude from your other guest? I don't know what her name is, but Dylan, she's a she. I don't understand why you'd need to open up your commentary with that. You're obviously appealing to a certain
Well, she would like to identify now as a she.
Yeah, just leave her alone.
But until last year, she was a he.
But look, importantly,
and then she was a non. Hang on, Ava, it's complicated
Piers,
keeping
you
up.
asked me a question.
I know, but it's complicated keeping up with these people. I don't know what Dylan Mulvaney really is, other than a lot of women, particularly in America, have taken great exception to the way Dylan Mulvaney mocks female behaviour, because they believe that Dylan Mulvaney is a biological man.
Listen, the anti-trans movement in America is very different to what it is in Britain. In Britain, feminists claim that it's because they're worried about men invading their spaces. Fine, whatever. In America, it's a conservative movement, and it's because they don't believe that that trans women fit into society. And it's all out of this pent-up Christian aggression that is quite disgusting.
Yeah, but this is where you're wrong.
So there it was, the pent-up Christian aggression, and I just don't know where these people get this stuff from. Like, I don't know if they see like one person on Twitter that's like going on a rant, or if they see a video somewhere, but everything that I see and have seen, it's all people that are actually respectful as far as saying, hey, we really don't care, and nobody cares actually what you do in your own home. Like, nobody does. I could honestly care less what anybody does in their private life, at home, or hell, even in society. Like, I don't care. Everything changes once you start trying to control an entire population and telling them how to think, okay? Like, we're not the ones enforcing our Christian aggression, which is not a place that I'm even coming from. We're not the ones forcing anything on them. We're saying, hey, do what you want, but don't teach our kids at school. don't have men beat up on women in sports. That's just biologically unfair. And don't force us to call you 30 different pronouns because you change it on a weekly basis. Like, forcing people's own language, forcing people to change their lives, and indoctrinating their kids. Those are some pretty big issues for any person in this country. Like, really big issues. Like, if you care about your life, society, if you have kids in school, if you have any daughters that compete in sports, like, this is a big ordeal. This isn't some insane right-wing Christian hate movement. Like, it's people saying, dude, you guys are nuts, trying to enforce your stuff on me. And not only that, like, you can tell yourself all these crazy things. We all know it's not true, but if you want to lie to yourself, like, that's cool. I don't care if you lie to yourself. Really don't. Lie to yourself all day, every day. But don't you dare come to me and expect me to repeat the lie that you're telling yourself. That is a different story. That's you forcing your stuff on me. That's a different story. And these people, like her, saying this kind of stuff, she's just so out of touch with reality, and it's hard to even have a conversation with someone who obviously isn't in a place where they can have an honest conversation. Like, they're just not. She's not in a mentally stable place right now to have a conversation, because she just believes everything is like white bed sheets and right-wing Christian extremists or something. Like, I really don't know.
Because I actually went on Bill Maher's show. We're going to interview Riley Gaines later, who's the swimmer at the centre of this big row over Leah Thomas, who's the transgender swimmer crushing all the women in swimming pools in America. And it's a very liberal crowd, the Bill Maher show, very liberal, in Los Angeles. I've been on there before and got booed for saying anything remotely contentious that might go against woke. When I vigorously defended Riley Gaines against a very aggressive female Democrat politician who was trying to say that she was doing it all for likes, and, you know, what was she doing, and got to stand up for trans rights, and who cares? The audience cheered everything I said in response, and deafening silence for her.
But that's a tiny little, like,
no, but it told me
sample,
that it's not just a right-wing thing. It's not.
It is a right.
You're deluded if you think it's only right-wing people that feel this way.
Look, I hate how you've opened up this debate and asked me if I find it offensive as a woman or whatever. I don't care. I don't care that Dylan doesn't have breasts and wears sports bras. In the same way that women who've had double mastectomies because of breast cancer don't wear, they wear a sports bra as well. It doesn't bother me what's in people's pants or in people's, bras. I don't care. I don't care that Dylan doesn't have breasts and wears sports bras. In the same way that women who've had double mastectomies because of breast cancer don't wear, they wear a sports bra as well. It doesn't bother me.
Just to be clear here, she just compared Dylan Mulvaney to a breast cancer survivor. Those are the type of people we're dealing with. Like, when she thinks those two are in the same category, an actual man wearing a sports bra compared to a breast cancer survivor.
Really?
No, I'm not preoccupied with that.
Do you care that Leah Thomas, a 6'4" biological male who competed unsuccessfully as a man at swimming, is now winning national championship swimming races against biological females?
I think that's extrapolating the argument.
Do you care?
Because what we're talking about is Dylan and whether she's on a beer can.
We're talking about the whole trans issue. My argument to you is, do you care about that?
Is she a woman?
Huh?
In my opinion, she's a woman, so she can compete.
You don't care?
That's fine.
You think it's perfectly fair?
It's fine.
Completely
it was
nuts.
approved by the board.
This is that woman.
And?
She's a biological male.
Yeah, but that's like saying...
who has a natural physical advantage, which means she crushes the women.
So does Usain Bolt.
Huh?
So does Usain Bolt.
He's a man who competes against men.
He's a superhuman man.
He competes against his own biological sex.
No, but that's a ridiculous parameter to have.
It's not, though.
If you are built differently, should you be within certain restrictions or measurements?
There are many sprinters built exactly like
gender.
Usain Bolt. That's ridiculous.
Just to your guess, just because what I said is rude doesn't mean it's not reality. It's just rubbish. This is just the reality of it. Dylan is a man. He has XY chromosomes. I don't know why we're going down this crazy, weird Powerpuff Girl kind
Why are you
of
so
reality.
obsessed with
It's
it?
all very
Why
bizarre.
are you so obsessed with what
I prefer to
genitalia
stick
that
with
she does or
reality.
doesn't
And,
have?
it's very concerning because if a biological man is able to identify as a woman because of how he feels without having any surgery or anything like that, then where do we draw the line? It basically means that a biological man can then identify as a little girl, then start having play dates with
Well,
six-year-old
actually,
girls,
I'll tell you what,
sharing beds with
let me
six-year-old
ask,
girls. Why not?
all right, let me ask
He
Avery a question.
identifies that way. It's just
hang
absurd.
on,
It's truly
Leia.
illogical, and it's a very, very dangerous
let me ask,
ideology.
See, here she comes in with like the straw man argument of, why do you care? Why do you care? Why are you obsessed with it? One, because it's infecting society. So she's a person and she's allowed to have an opinion. That's why she cares. She might play sports. She might have a sister that plays sports. She might have a daughter that plays sports. She's allowed to care because she can care. Period. I'm so sick and tired of this stupid argument. Next, things have gotten extremely weird here, where whenever this first started, whenever someone transitioned, they actually transitioned. Like, people transition from either male to a female or vice versa. Now, we're literally letting people just walk in, no change, no transition, and we're calling them trans because they say, I identify as a woman. That's a transgender person nowadays. Like, the definition has transformed. Like, they completely flipped this on its head. Like, it's not even like this. It's not even the same meaning that it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It's not even the same meaning anymore.
Let me ask Avery a question. You mentioned Usain Bolt. What would you feel if Usain Bolt suddenly identified as a woman?
That's a ridiculous question.
Oh,
and you know
why?
it is. Come on, that's
Why?
silly. Because you can't wake up tomorrow morning and decide that you're a woman and start competing.
It's literally what Leah Thomas has done.
It takes... That's a ridiculous question.
Oh.
And you know, come on, that's
Why?
silly. Because you can't wake up tomorrow morning and decide that you're a woman and...
Day one of being a girl, and I have already cried 3 times. I wrote a scathing email that I did not send. I ordered dresses online that I couldn't afford. And then when someone asked me how I was, I said, I'm fine, when I wasn't fine. So. How'd I do, ladies? Good? Girl power.
I try to focus on my swimming, what I need to do to get ready for my races, and just try to block out everything else.
So Leah Thomas wins the NCAA.
You feel if Usain Bolt suddenly identified as a woman?
That's a ridiculous question.
Oh,
and you know
why?
it is. Come on, that's
Why?
silly. Because you can't wake up tomorrow morning and decide that you're a woman and start competing.
It's literally what Leah Thomas has done.
So I don't really think I have too much to add to this one. She pretty much did all the work for us here. Whenever you lie and continue to lie, and there's like 5 or 6 lies built on top of one lie, eventually you tell the truth. Sometimes you do it by accident. And that's what she just did. She unfortunately for her, she just told the truth by accident. You can't wake up tomorrow and become a woman just like that. You can't. She's right. She just, unfortunately, is making the counter argument to her argument.
Would you be happy if Usain Bolt identified as a woman and began winning the races against women by 2 seconds?
You're making an extreme argument out of what are people's lives.
It's happening with Leah Thomas.
But it's not. But what's happening?
But it is.
The crux of this argument is people like Dylan are now going to face extreme hate and extreme concern in their community.
People like Dylan Mulvaney are making
argument.
millions and millions of dollars, in my view, making a mockery of the trans issue. For all intents and purposes, Dylan Mulvaney is still a biological male. He's had no surgery at all, or testosterone
Then what
reduction.
is the perfect trans person in your opinion?
It's not a perfect trans person.
We're right. This is an extreme argument, and she's the one that's making it, okay? Piers is literally laying out what's happening in reality right now and what could happen. And she's saying, no, that's extreme. Like, no, that's an when it's happening. Like, Piers is saying it's happening right now, and now you're the one that's standing up for it, and you're telling us that it's extreme. She has contradicted herself so many times throughout this process. She has embarrassed herself, in my opinion. Like, this one's pretty bad. And then she goes right back to, we have to feel bad for someone who has a ton of sponsorships and is making millions and millions of dollars, and he's the victim here.
What that person is doing in advertising, many women feel is mocking what it is to be a woman.
But did she want to be on Bud Light, or did Bud Light make the ridiculous, proposition to put her on the can? Whose fault is it, and who's getting the blame, and who's getting attacked? It's this poor woman in the States. Why?
No, people, I don't feel sorry for Dylan Mulvaney. She's laughing all the way to the bank. He, she, whatever you want to call her. The reality is the people that are suffering, I think, are the unknown trans people who I think are being exposed to constant mockery through these kind of things. By the likes of Leah Thomas crushing women in the pool, by Dylan Mulvaney making a mockery of the way women wear sports bras and do gym work and so on. All of that is unhelpful to regular trans people just trying to get by and wanting to have a bit of fairness and equality. The moment you try and get a new unfairness and inequality for any group of people at the expense of another group, you lose it.
I don't agree.
I know you don't, and you're wrong.
So Piers has been on fire lately, and I think he's doing a hell of a job right now standing up for women's rights. And if you want to call this the new women's movement, I really don't know, but it's what it feels like and it's what it seems like. A lot of people out there are afraid what this could do to future generations of young girls in sports, women in sports, and even in the workplace. So good for Piers Morgan. I appreciate what he's doing. I appreciate you watching. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like, comment, let me know what you thought of the video. Thanks for watching, guys.
I don't agree.
I know you don't, and you're wrong.
In the middle of all this legal mess, Zuby, a UK-based rapper, basically identified as a female and broke British women's weightlifting records.
I was a man for 30 years and decides that they're going to be a woman, and this has happened, and literally transitioned a few months ago, and competes as a woman and destroys records and dominates you in that sport. That's bullshit.